Joining us now to discuss this and more is New Jersey Congressman and member of the Homeland Security Committee, Jeff Van Drew. Congressman, I appreciate you being here. I guess it's a little comforting to hear that Zelensky does not share the same assessment of the nuclear threat coming out of Russia that President Biden does. What have you made of the president's remarks regarding the severity of a potential nuclear threat with Russia?
Well, it's good to hear Zelensky, and that's certainly positive. But, you know, what I've made out of this, it's just another sign of weakness and cognitive abilities, to be honest with you. This is another case where this president has said something, and then immediately all the people around him in the administration try to walk it back. So I don't know if he was trying to scare, all our children and adults, for that matter, and just frighten everybody, or he was just saying something that popped in his head because it was something that was really inappropriate at the time. This is a sign of weakness, again, with this president and this majority administration. What we find here is that he says things that aren't necessarily realistic. He says things that the administration then walks back a day later. He says things that shows Russia and the world, including China, everybody, how weak we are. Remember, this is the man, this is the president who said at the very beginning of the entire event starting that it would probably be okay if Russia got a smaller piece of Ukraine. And I think we all should remember that. And if we don't, refresh your memory. And that was a tremendous sign of weakness. What a president has to do is say, if he feels that there is that danger, that, the old story, you may think you have a button, but we have a bigger button and ours works. Don't think about it. But he doesn't seem to have that kind of moral fiber.
I'm just wondering, it was alarming to hear his remarks because couple that with the fact that the U.S. has spent $290 million on a drug purchase to combat the effects and the impact of radiation sickness. But what impact how do you think Russia is viewing President Biden's remarks, and how dangerous is it? I hope they don't think that's baiting them in any way into something.
Well, Putin's in a tough situation now. Here's somebody who is supposed to win a war in 3 days, should have superior munitions, has more men, had more tanks, went on the attack. Why? Because, again, this president didn't say, don't do that. That's going to be a big mistake. Why? Because this president put signals out. It's okay if you get a piece of Ukraine in the beginning of this. And then everybody rallied and said, come on, you just can't put that kind of information out and show that weakness. I think Putin knows that if there, God forbid, was any kind of nuclear attack, that there's going to be a response, and that response is going to be dreadful. And, regardless of how weak and foolish this president is and feckless he is, certainly others are going to respond. The military is going to respond. And I don't think Putin wants to bring that to his country, too. But we need the president to be strong. They try to compare this to JFK in Cuba. No, JFK made it clear. You do this, this is what's going to happen. So you better get the hell out of here.
Does the Biden administration need to draw a firmer red line at this point?
Yeah, they do. They need to draw a line and say, again, you may think you have a button, but we've got a bigger button and our systems work. God knows what Russia has over there. But the point is, don't even think about doing it. Don't even think about taking that action against the United States of America. The problem is he's so weak, he goes back and forth, that, not only Russia, but other countries are going to think, well, is he saying that today? And are they going to walk that back tomorrow? There's almost no major statement that this president ever makes about anything, whether it's inflation, whether it's about drugs, whether it's about crime, whether it's about this issue, that they don't have to walk back on a daily basis. I don't even know why he comes out anymore and utters the few words that he does, They just ought to have his press secretary do the whole thing from beginning to end, because it's a tremendous embarrassment to the country. It's an embarrassment to the office of the presidency.
Well, that's also very difficult getting any sort of concrete answers out of the White House press secretary as well. And Biden earlier dodging questions from reporters, again, heading on to Marine One about his comments. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Always good to be here with you.
Thanks.